A salute to the Oklahoma flag, followed by a moment of silence. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of Oklahoma, its symbols of peace unite all people.
Thank you. Let's please be seated. And with that, so I was just, for the record, since I will just repeat, being in some of the schools since the last time we met, and the Oklahoma Youth Expo having been conducted during spring break, it's so wonderful to be able to see some of you who are there, but also see the students and their pride, showing their animals. And also meeting some of the students who were winners through that, and saw great success with the ability to take funds and do things to further their education. So it's really, really exciting. And with that, I will just turn this over to you for our new director.
Okay.
Dr.
Okay, so just a little nervous, but if I don't deliver this how you want, I'm open to you telling me what you want to hear. So. It's been a whirlwind for the last month, but we have an excellent staff at the state agency, and everyone has gone just over and above to help me out, which I really appreciate. Couldn't do it without everyone sitting over there, especially Becky, leading me and guiding me down the way. So it's been fun. It's a great agency, and I'm honored to serve, so I thank you for this opportunity. First of all, I want to tell you about our construction project, because I'm sure you're well aware about the flood they had last December. And it was very invasive, so to speak. And so everything's on track to be done by April 1st, and we plan to move the opening. We're going in the south door now. We plan to move the opening back to the original east door on April 4th, that Monday morning. Brian Bates has been the construction overseer for the agency, and he's just done an excellent job. The rugs are down, the walls are being painted, everything's not back in place. Office furniture and such will have to be moved when he works through the punch list, but it's looking really nice. I think he'll be very proud of it when it's all said and done. And we got a facelift, and the insurance company gets to pay for it, so that's always nice too. But it's going real well. They pulled down all the plastic, and everybody's ready to get back into their offices. We did do a little changing as far as where offices are going to be. We're making a conference room where the OMES individuals were, and we're moving them to a really nice area, kind of a 3-suite area, but we'll use their large area where they use for a lot of storage as another conference room. So we're very excited about that. If anyone has any questions, I love a give and take. So if you have a question, I probably can't answer it, but we have somebody here that can. So we're very excited, and after April 4th, we hope you'll come and see how nice the area looks, and the freshening up of that area. This week, earlier, we put out an announcement that we have a partnership that we're finally moving forward on with Express, called Express Work-Based Learning. It's going out of the Office of Workforce Development, and it's going to create more work-based opportunities for our students. And the cool thing about this is it limits the liabilities on the businesses. Express personnel is going to take a lot of those liabilities, and Mr. Funk is very excited about this opportunity, as we are as well. So that's going to be taking off really soon. These students will get job experience and help businesses, and hopefully they'll get permanent offers after they have these excellent experiences with different businesses.
Lee, what do we call that again? Express what?
Express, well, we call it, because we're the queen and king of acronyms, Express WBL, but it's Express Work-Based Learning.
Okay.
Okay?
Awesome.
Thank you. That's one of the things that's been really interesting, all the acronyms. They say there's a, no, please don't. They say there's a guide, but I haven't seen it yet. I think they're lying. Okay, who saw the cover story on the Oklahoman on March 7th about our meat processing training?
Oh, yeah.
It's generated a lot of interest. I personally have had calls, and it's you all know over the last 2 years because of COVID, these big packing operations have had issues because one person on the line gets COVID and it goes down the whole way. So we've had a lot of interest at the state level of increasing number of small meat processing plants. And so this gives a chance for training in this area that can move around the state, and they're trained on how to actually do the meat processing. I'm using processing too much, and the meat processing process. I can't think of anything else. Okay, so we had
that at Gordon Cooper for a couple of 3 days. That was outstanding.
Mhm.
That was very well done. So I mean, it'll have an impact.
Right. The Secretary of Agriculture, Blaine Arthur, has worked with us on this, and they've even used grant money to try to work on the supply chain shortage of good protein in our grocery store. So this has been excellent. So far, we've done hands-on training with 3 technology centers and 14 ag ed programs in high school. So it's going very well. Next, we need to highlight our new video series on aerospace. I hope you guys have had a chance to go on YouTube or our webpage and see some of these videos. The landing page features nearly 1,300 page views since our marketing campaign began just on Valentine's Day, so it's going very well. The titles are Cleared for Takeoff, Get Trained for Oklahoma's Aerospace. And this has been a kind of a heavy financial endeavor, but we feel like the return on investment is going to be over the top for us. Oklahoma is, I think it's our second largest industry is aerospace, and with the way the state's laid out and what we have across the state, the infrastructure, I think we're poised to take off in the aerospace industry. Next round of videos are in production. It includes American Airlines, NORDAM, Kratos, Francis Tuttle Technology Center, Middale Technology Center, among others. And the next series will be released in June, so that's something to look forward to. I hope everyone's planning to come on April 14th to our Hall of Fame banquet. It'll be in Stillwater on OSU's campus in the Student Union Ballroom. And this year we have Kent Boggs and Carolyn Cotton, Nancy Randolph Davis, Bob Funk, Phil Wall, and Greg Winters will be inducted into our Hall of Fame. I'm looking forward to this evening. There's a reception at 6 p.m. and then the banquet starts at 7 p.m. And I'm very excited about, we've got some heavy hitters that have done so much for CareerTech, so I'm very excited about who we're putting in the Hall of Fame, and hope everyone can join us. I know sometimes calendars conflict, but it'll be a great evening. So if you need any more information on that, I'll sure connect you with Gina Hubbard, and she can get you all signed up or just get you whatever you need for that. Of course, it's springtime with high school students, so that means there's lots of end-of-year conferences and such as that. And the BPA had their state conference in Tulsa on March 7th through the 9th, and we had 1,300 members on site. It was at the Tulsa Tech Peoria campus on day 1, and we had 16 of them run for state office. I think that really speaks well to how they train for leadership and such as that, and encouragement and self-confidence to run for a state office. And that's not me. Altogether, Oklahoma BPA has just right at 5,500 members, and that makes us number 3 in the nation, and we're just behind Ohio and Texas, which of course have a lot more population than we have in Oklahoma. So very excited about their conference. And they will go to national conference in Dallas on May 4th through the 8th. So BPA was a success. So today, you don't have anything to do at 1 o'clock. You can come down to the Oklahoma Convention Center and the FCCLA.
We have a state board meeting.
Sorry.
It's really people left.
Well,
You have some more.
anyway, she's saying, cut. No. Anyway.
If she's excusing us, we may not have a quorum.
Oh, I bet she needs cornbread. But anyway, FCCLA will all convene in Oklahoma City at the Oklahoma Convention Center at 1 o'clock. And, well, actually, they're doing some stuff this morning, but the actual kickoff is at 1 o'clock at the Oklahoma City Convention Center. So I'm very excited I get to go down and, this scale of CareerTech is just amazing to me. So I was talking to our event coordinator, Andrea, and she show me how much she spent on chairs for that event and then how much they were per chair, so we did the math. There'll be 5,000 students there. That is amazing. And to have all of them come for a conference and show off their leadership skills and what they've learned this year, it's going to be amazing. And as I always say, the ills of so many areas are the breakdown of the family and the home, and the fact that they work on leadership to strengthen families and strengthen consumer sciences is just amazing. So this will be exciting Saturday. If you can, come down and see them. If you can't, you have to stay here and work. We're sorry, but good luck. No. The next thing in your packet, you have a flyer for the Oklahoma Education and Industry Partnership. And they're going to focus on the STEM program. In March is March is Oklahoma the OEIP, there you go, another acronym. Virtual session will feature, they're going to feature our STEM programs this month at their virtual meeting. And we're going to show the outlook for jobs that students are prepared for in these programs and highlight, all of our partnerships we have with schools as well as industry. Red River Technology Center STEM program will share their projects and what they love the most about what we offer in STEM. And Project Lead the Way, one of my favorite projects that we do, will also highlight their resources and what their middle school students are working on. This session is set for the last Tuesday of the month, March 29th, from 10 to 11. So that's very exciting. And for educators that can't attend, it'll be shown on YouTube channels, so they'll have an opportunity to be involved. We've already mentioned the Youth Expo and what our FFA students did there. I have just a few little stats for you. There were 25,000 entries from one less than 7,500 exhibitors. That's amazing for this year. The Agriculture, Mechanic, and Engineering contest, their entry numbers increased by 50% this year. The premium sale total was $1.5 million for just 212 of the exhibitors. They show and then they elevate to the premium sale. And over $400,000 in scholarships were awarded. And you told one of the great stories. I have one more quick story. There's a young lady who goes to school at the Tipton School District, but she resides in the Tipton Children's Home. So that means she's a child in DHS custody for some reason or another. We don't know why. She decided she wanted to show a pig. So she showed a doo-rock, named her Penny. She was a gilt. And she went into the ring and brought $17,000 for a kid in DHS custody, which she plans to use. I hope she comes to CareerTech, but she plans to use it for college. The cool thing about this for her, because this was her first experience, is Penny was sold to a breeder in Kansas. So Penny wasn't one that's going to be slaughtered. And I think for your first experience going into that is a huge deal. And so her comment in the news release was, I hope Penny has a good life and has lots of little pennies. And so, we know FFA is such a strong program in Oklahoma. And this just goes to show it's really saving kids' lives. Don't know her backstory, I don't need to know it, but she's had such a positive experience. And now she has, as we said about the young man from Hydro Eakley, some funds in the bank where after she turns 18, she can get started on her life. So kudos to OYE and kudos to the FFA program, all of them around the state. So that was wonderful. We have our state staff meeting on June 13th. It's going to be held in Stillwater at Meridian Technology Center. And we would love for you to come. We are going to give out certificates for retirements and years of service. And I just think it'd be so cool to have you all give the certificates to our staff, if you can. It's going to be June 13th in Stillwater at Meridian Technology Center.
Okay.
Becky.
And the retirement and years of service will be after lunch.
Yeah, so it'll be after lunch.
Can't stay all day.
Yeah, you don't have to come all day. Thank you for that. You don't have to come all day, but definitely, if you can come after lunch, I just think it'd be cool if you, and we'd love to have you too, Superintendent, if you can.
That's good.
We can be there for lunch if we want.
Well, you can stay.
I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you a
Yeah,
hard time.
oh yeah, we're having, Becky, would you like to just say a few words? No, please.
So yeah, we are having state staff on June the 13th, so we're gonna kick it off. Actually, we're gonna kick off the series in April. We're gonna start having some topics every week around trust, difficult conversations, leadership, courage. So we'll kick it off in April. Our speaker will wrap it up on June the 13th with a 2-hour session. And then we'll roll in the afternoon with our years of service, our awards, and our retirement celebration. So it's going to be a great day. So if you can make it, let us know.
That's a Monday, is it?
It is.
I know a lot of times calendars get full and stuff, but if you could join us, we'd
Yeah.
love to have you. Okay, last thing I'll cover is a legislative update. I've been working with Sky McNeil on things at the Capitol. And one of the big things that we worked on is, of course, the nursing shortage and this diploma RN bill. Supposedly, that bill is going to be on the floor of the House today. We do think it will get off the floor. It may not. But we think it's going to have some trouble in the Senate. So we'll see how it goes. You just never know with those people in there. You can say that now that you're not there anymore. I've had several meetings with Chancellor Garrett, who's the new higher education chancellor. And we do have another meeting tomorrow at 2 o'clock that's going to be on Zoom. I've invited Doug Major, Sky McNeil, and Tony Pivick to also be on that call because she's bringing about 4 or 5 college presidents. And, you know, there's somebody from the senior leadership that doesn't like the word silo, but I'm going to use it for just a minute. You know, we get accused of staying in our own silo. They're in their silo. ComEd, is in their silo. And you know what happens? Some of you know what happens if you get in a silo. You die. You drown. You dry drown down in a silo. You can't breathe and you can't get out. So I don't think CareerTech is in a silo personally. When you look at all our partnerships that we have with K-12 schools, mainly the higher ed 2-year colleges and industry partners, we're not in a silo, but we do need to let people know we're not operating in a silo. People drive around the state and they see our facilities and, you know, they just think, oh, well, that's blah, blah, VOTEG is what they say, which angers me. But so we're going to meet tomorrow to start talking about the nursing shortage. And this diploma RN bill, not every tech was interested in it. They may have agreements with higher ed. They may have, their programs may be putting out all they can do. But we had about 5 tech centers that were interested in this program because they're in rural areas where the nursing shortage was very impactful. And they just are like typical career techs, want to be a problem solver. And so that's why it came about. So we're back, if this fails, and it may not, but we're just hearing it's not going to do so well in the Senate. If this fails, I think it gives us an opportunity at this point in time to talk to higher ed, talk about the nursing shortage, and go forward where we can partner. Laura Morris at our agency has done an excellent job explaining how an associate RN and the diploma RN really are so uniquely similar that it's something that we could venture into possibly, but we need to do a little more planning and lay the groundwork a little bit more so that we'll be successful if that's the way we go. So that starts, that's going to be at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and I anticipate more meetings with the chancellor. I understand at our level, we do some courses that should be giving college credit that aren't, and hopefully we can move through the system and show her that the work we're doing is at the level that should be accepted for college admission. So that's what's going on there. One other thing that's kind of reared its ugly head. Do you have questions?
Yes, what is that bill number?
Oh, heavens.
We don't know. That's all right. I'll
Just a
look at it.
minute, we'll get it. No, you're not going to look it up. We'll look it up for you. Wow, thank you. We'll find out for you. Thank you, Corey. One other thing that's kind of, I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but our superintendents have. Last week, the state chamber did a PowerPoint about they're getting ready to do a project with an international company on how Oklahoma can do better in workforce development. And so they had a slide that mentioned they thought CareerTech ought to be consolidated with the 2 years. I like that, Randy, real subtle. Exactly. You know, if it ever happened, they need to be under us, but it should never happen. And that's what I'm talking about. Talking with the chancellor a little bit more and not about what we're doing and how we can enhance students' performance in a college setting. Actually, I talked to the chamber executive and he denied that's what it was about, but you know, you guys may hear about it because of the, you know, I could tell her it was just a PowerPoint, they're not gonna do it, and, sorry, Angela. And if Angela overheard it, she might say, oh no, they're gonna do it, you know, the telephone game where it gets to the end and nobody knows what it really meant. So just be aware that that slide was on it and that the chamber's doing this workforce development program with an international company. The chamber executive.
State chamber?
The state chamber, yeah, the state chamber. Thank you for that clarification. Chad Warmington, who's executive director of the state chamber, and I spoke, and he assures me he's gonna let the company have a talk with us at the state agency. So more to come on that in the months to come, but be aware that it's out there.
So was it the international company that was advising this or the chamber that was advising?
According to him, if I can trust him, it was the international company that was advising that. And that he goes, it was just a cookbook type of presentation that I was showing to show the company that we're working with. So thank you for that question. Okay, Senate, House Bill what?
4330.
House Bill 4330.
Thank you.
Corey, thank you so much.
House bill or Senate bill?
It's a House bill.
House bill.
Going to be heard on the House floor, and Sky is supposed to text me as soon as the vote takes, and we'll see. It may happen this morning since it's a Thursday, but it is deadline week, so they might be there till midnight. Who knows? So, okay. Any questions?
Who's the author on it?
His name is Representative Chris Sneed, S-N-E-E-D. And then I think Senator Jessica Garvin is the Senate author. Is that correct, Corey?
I believe so.
Okay. So there's a Senator Racino that is not very happy with the bill and doesn't want to see it move forward. I'm not sure why, because we haven't been over there yet. There's a curriculum bill out there that they made some changes on that has passed the House. It's Rhonda Baker's bill, and it's getting ready to go. That some of our people at the agency are a little concerned about, but they're massaging the language, and so next month I'll let you know where that one is.
What's that, what curriculum is this?
Computer science curriculum. They're changing mainly in the bill, they're changing the word computer technology to computer science. And so we have a little heartburn about what that's going to do in the things that we teach at our tech centers.
Okay.
So we're working on that as well. And
I have to just brag just a moment of personal privilege. My daughter, who is an RN, is teaching brand new January in the technology centers.
Which
She's
one?
teaching nursing, Tulsa Technology.
all
So
right.
they recruited her out and
Yay.
to make more nurses, so we're proud
That's awesome.
to hear about
Congratulations.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
You know, we had a meeting on this bill and there was a nurse there saying, I mean, you know, we're all protective of our professions, but she was saying, no one's doing anything to increase the pipeline. And I go, excuse me, we are. And you know, it was a time to highlight what we are doing at our centers for high school students, introducing them to the world of nursing and giving them some skills. And hopefully they're going to be appreciative of what they're learning and want to be in that profession. Unfortunately, the nursing profession through this pandemic it's been, that's why so many have left. It's been really rough, and the media has shown the rough side of it, and that we may have to do some bridge building back to the good aspects of nursing and continue to encourage our kids. I always tell everybody, boy, if you're a nurse, you could actually work anywhere. And I always think it's good to have a profession that if you move to Agra, Oklahoma, or Oakland City, you could find a job, so.
It's true.
Okay.
She started in New York City as a trauma nurse. So,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so she's now teaching those nurses, those adults to become nurses into the hospitals that we need so desperately right now.
So grateful she came back
I
to
know, me
Oklahoma.
too.
And so grateful she has that trauma schooling because because that's the scariest part. Trauma is the scariest part of anything.
I don't know where this fits, but you complimented or thanked the staff for their work, and I would just like to make sure we say transitions aren't always easy, so thanks for all the work that you're doing to keep things running and positive work and attitudes, and thanks for that.
Oh, they're rock stars.
Express that to the rest of your teams.
Wonderful, all right, well, let's look at item 1.05, which is discussion and vote on the minutes of the February 17th, 2022 special board meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, second. All right. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, that motion carries. Now, item 2, which begins with our public comments and discussion and vote on the amendments to some of the permanent rules. Would you like to make?
Superintendent, could we hold that until at 10 or immediately after 10 o'clock? When we posted our notice and filed that for the public and everything, that's set at 10 a.m. And that way we don't start a hearing in case someone comes in and a couple of minutes still. So we just take the next item up, 2.04. And also a note for the record, there's some construction in the building, and notice that the door to our room is shut, but there's a sign outside that says open meeting. So just to make sure that if anyone were to come down the hall, they would not think that this is any kind of closed meeting.
Very good. Thank you. So 2.04 on the back side of your agenda is a discussion and vote on a grant application for the American Rescue Plan Act. Would you like to make that presentation, Dr. Denny?
Yes, I'd be very excited. In your package, you have 2 documents, one in living color and the other in black and white. You'll notice that the application is a draft, so it's a work in progress. About my second day, which was a snow day, I was on a conference call with Mr. Tony Hancock, superintendent at Caddo, Iowa, which he's here with us today for questions and clarifications, and Dr. Mack and myself. And I've got to admit that I don't remember much about that call. And then Mr. Hancock called me and goes, well, you were on that call. I go, no, but that was the second day. But anyway, after that time, about March 2nd or 3rd, we were contacted as an agency and asked if we could be the fiscal agent for an ARPA grant that includes 4 of our schools that want to expand truck driver training. Now, being from Cushing, Oklahoma, and in the Central Tex business, about the first thing I did was call Assistant Superintendent Kent Burris about the our statewide truck driving training program, which is located in Drumheart, Oklahoma. Talked about the need and such as that, and their statewide truck training program, we're going to shorten that one, is booked through the end of June. They can't take any more students until that time. And so we know with the supply chain disruption because of COVID, thank you, Mr. Brown, for making that inference for us. This is such a group project, and your comments were excellent on this, so thank you so much. But because of COVID, trucks haven't been able to deliver what they need to, so we know there's a need for truck drivers on the roads of Oklahoma. We also know there's a need to put people that may not have a high school diploma to work. And so we have 4 schools that are going together with Caddo, Iowa, Tulsa Technology Center, Caddo, Iowa, Kiamichi, and I'm going to have to look, Northeast. And all of them have different partners in their area. They're going to be regional truck driving training programs to take off some of the pressure of the statewide program. All of them have industry partners in the area that they're serving, and there's a real need for this. And you know, the ARPA funds are supposed to be for one-time purchases, so as you can see in this document, you can go over and see what we're actually purchasing. If you'll go over to page 7, I won't go through the whole thing, I know you've had a chance to read it. You'll see broken out what each school, what their requests are, and what the total budget is. The neat thing about this is the total budget's about 6.6 million, or almost 6.7 million, but the schools with in-kind work are going to have the 6.2 million. So it's almost a 50-50 match, and I think the federal government likes it when we have skin in the game, and we definitely have skin in the game for this project. You can see they're buying simulators and trucks and trailers. There is going to be, some of them will have to build a classroom. Yes?
I just want to make sure I was clear. So we're putting up about 600,000.
No, did I say that? 6.2 million.
How much is CareerTech putting in? You said we'd have skin in the game. I wasn't following you, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I mean, the 4 CareerTechs have skin in the game. The agency,
Okay.
the only thing
Okay.
that the agency has provided is our grant writer,
Okay.
Alice Rushmore, to help them write the grant, and then we're the fiscal agent. These funds will be passed through on a reimbursement basis. I should have said that first.
So how much does each CareerTech have to put in?
If you will,
I wasn't finding that. Forgive me, I'm sorry.
no, you're fine. I'm
I'm
probably
in
saying
favor
it
of the
right.
program. I'm just trying to follow.
Okay, if you will look on, starting
Oh,
on page 8, starting
I
with
see.
Caddo, Kiowa, at the top is what they will take from the grant, and then the bottom half will be what they're doing in kind.
I
And
see.
then you can just follow that for each CareerTech center. But the agency has no money that we're expending, it's just simply a pass-through on a reimbursement basis.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, sorry I wasn't clear.
No, it's all good.
The schools felt like if we were the fiscal agent, some of the schools are smaller. I know Tulsa Technology is big, but they don't necessarily have the people to work the backgrounds of the grant as it goes through. And then also, it just looks better instead of putting 4 ARPA grants in from each college, just doing one overarching grant. And as I said, no cost to the agency. Superintendent Hancock's here. If you have any further questions of he or myself.
I don't know if it's, who my question is of, I assume
Go
do we
ahead.
have the staff to be able to do the reimbursement? I mean, that's what we do with federal money, but okay. There was a concern previously, so that was, want to make sure about it. And how will this work with the state? Is it the same training, but will be different because of the funding, the statewide training? Is this one similar to the curriculum? You'll be borrowing from that or coordinating or totally
We already
separate?
have a truck driver training program.
Okay, I actually read this, I couldn't quite.
And we have for many years. We have a number of staff on our campus that does training all the time. We've currently, over the last 3 years, been searching about 200 different people in some capacity, about 100 of those each year. And that's taking into account we've dealt with COVID. We just heard our numbers, but those are doing a full-blown 253-hour truck driver training program where they go from A to B, and then we customize that for, this is not really the question you asked, but it kind of all fits together. We customize that for companies like Bronco, Cotton Electric in their trucks. They'll bring trucks over because they need something specific on an 18-wheeler, but they may need a truck that's, that can put in poles. For the electric company, they need to be able to put a trailer on the back of that. And so we work with them to meet their needs. Those folks are all over Western Oklahoma. We have 2 full-time employees at Western Technology Center currently that are our employees, but we have a partnership with Western Technology Center to provide truck driver training in Burns Flat for folks out there. We worked extensively with Halliburton over the years, provided a number of their employees truck driver training. So it's growing. I had a call from Dusty Rich at some of you know me, that's the former superintendent of Mid-America, is currently the CEO of the Rural Electric Cooperative in Lindsay, and needing some help. And so, and asking some questions, so I don't know if we'll end up with a partnership there. We've sent a truck driver trainer to Great Plains Technology Center in Lawton. Talked to Clarence many times, knows we've worked with the city, we've been working with the city of Lawton currently, and that kind of got put on hold by them, but Southwest Technology Center in Altus has asked for our help in providing, so we really are taking care of southwestern Oklahoma and really western Oklahoma. We're willing to expand that to all western Oklahoma if needed. And so the challenge is for us is just the ability to find equipment. We can charge enough tuition to pay for the instructor. The equipment's got cost prohibitive, and we've tried to budget that on a kind of every other year basis, but it's gotten where we really can't do that if we're going to expand. And we feel like we need to be that entity in western Oklahoma that provides that training and that workforce development. It's needed. You all know probably better than I do how much needed that is, but we can't get things. My son lives in California. I go over the port there, and there's container after container sitting there and out in on ships that they can't get off, can't get them moved, and so it's a global problem for sure. I don't know if I answered the
You
question.
did, and that helped also explain that I saw the letters of support or the outline for it. So that-
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Those are CareerTech partners that we
Already working with.
Yes,
That's-
ma'am.
Okay.
That they are indeed. And then we just have a number of companies that we provide customized training for, and then individuals that come through that want to do something better with their life, and they can get that training in a short amount of time. It's set up to be about a 6-week training for us, but sometimes that can be condensed depending on their skill set. And at the end of the day, the certification they get, the state certification through, and federal through the Department of Public Safety, it's not ours. So we're teaching to mastery. And if that student can get through the written test, the walk around, the driving portion, and sometimes the walk around inspection is the most difficult thing. They almost have to be. In fact, one request was for a fleet mechanic that was having trouble with the walk around test. It's ridiculously challenging for those guys, but we're having a lot of success teaching it. And they have an opportunity to test about 3 times, and so if they can do it the first time, which is probably a couple of times is more the average, because you have to kind of get the feel for that sometimes, but if they can do it the first time, they can shorten that amount of time, we get them to work quicker. And if not, then we continue to work with them to get them to that place where they go to work and make a reasonable living for their families.
How many students you have in the program right now?
I just asked that the other day.
Not enough, I can tell you from the truck driver.
Yeah.
Because we need them.
Close to about 10 or 12 on our yard now, and about 4 or 5 birds flat. We go up anywhere from about 10 to 20 on our yard, so I might be, it's very, if I don't ask today, I might not tell you exactly right, so I don't want to tell you something that's not correct, but it's pretty fluid. Every week we have some more students starting in that, and the way we do it, it's a little different at Birds Flat. Those folks take those 2 or 3 students at a time from start to finish. We're set up a little different. We've got on our driving range kind of a hut that we use for a little bit of where we gather. It's not with our classrooms across campus. It's not ideal, but that's why we have the request to put a classroom there where it's much more user-friendly and better for our training. But that said, we'll put about 3 people to a truck. And so if we've got 6 people on a truck, we have 6 people in the yard. In the yard, we have some trucks where they're backing and pulling forward, and they can drive around and learn to shift and those kind of things. And if they're struggling with that, we put them on a simulator, let them get to, because everything tends to be stuff, and so, folks come in with different levels of skill sets when we get them, so, we're able to do different things to get them to the place where they're competent.
So this would double your capacity, or what is that?
It would allow us to increase our capacity. It would allow us to take training out to other technology centers as they request that, and we're more than willing to do that in our area. That was one of the things that, as we started this conversation with Dr. Mack and then Dr. Denny, would we be willing to expand our program? The answer to that is absolutely. We'd like to be the truck driver training center for Western Oklahoma. We're more than willing to do that. We think we have the people. We think we can hire the people to do the training. The equipment becomes the issue. That if we don't have the equipment, we're not going to do it. Yes, sir.
So to that point, because you mentioned that twice, pardon me, what is your plan if this goes through to do with equipment? How do you plan to tackle that?
Well, right now, we try to about budget every other year to be able to purchase a truck and then a trailer. The last one a couple of years ago was about $55,000. We bought used stuff because, 350,000 miles, now we're at a place where we've got several trucks with 750,000 to 1 million miles on them. We need to transition those out with new equipment. So if we do that, we've asked for 8 trucks because that would allow us to replace about half the trucks that we have. We've got about 13 or 14, so a little more than half. It would allow us to put some better equipment at Western Tech. It would allow us also then to work with Great Plains, Southwest, any of the other tech centers that we've got the ability to transit. We can have some trucks that aren't quite as in as good shape on the yard. That's one thing, to be driving around the yard and backing and doing it. But as we get them on the highway, on the road, it's important that we keep safe equipment out there for those drivers and for the other people that are out there as well. So that's the goal. And so we would, it'll probably take 8 months to a year to be able to get those in. Is that a, Randy, I know that better.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah,
can't
the
get
price
them
of
all,
used equipment has just skyrocketed as well.
we would look at new on these. We talked to Freightliner,
Is
our
it even
guys
available?
think it's good
Yeah,
equipment.
yeah, well, it's even
trying to get 'em,
available,
yeah.
yeah,
But it'd probably take a year to get it from Freightliner. Is what
Yeah.
we're thinking, 8 months to a year.
hopefully.
Hopefully. We're not optimistic that we'll turn that around in a day or two. No, we've been looking for trucks. We're constantly looking for a truck that fits our needs, that's within our budget. So that's an ongoing process. We look for about a year and a half for a trailer. We prefer to use 48-foot trailers for training instead of 50, is it 53?
53.
They're just a little bit easier to back, a little bit easier when those guys take their test to manage and for the training purposes, but they're very difficult to find. We ended up finding a good flatbed to be able to do that last year.
I'm just wondering
Yes,
if, I'm thinking about one trucking company here in Oklahoma, that is based here, and they do all the trucking for Walmart. And it just made me wonder if there might be some kind of benefit for, I don't know if there could be things that they're ready to maybe sell, that they would donate
Right.
as they replenish their fleet or something.
We would certainly be interested in
It's
that. Sometimes the
gonna be
challenge is when they're
Christmas.
ready to turn those over,
John
they've got a lot of
Christmas,
miles
yeah.
on them. It's,
I'm thinking of Christmas.
So, not to interject here, but whenever you asked how many students, when I said not enough, that's not negative on
Right.
them. Industry, on the system, industry-wide, whether it's a school bus driver, whether it's a
Yes.
electric cooperative, whether it's
Concrete truck
whether you
drivers.
guys need trucks, there is a tremendous shortage in the industry that
we just added an adjunct instructor
yes.
on our campus.
So some of those partnerships may be one of those companies versus asking them to sell a truck. Then you get into the legal liability issues of if you have a partnership with a company that would send trucks and trailers, then you get into legal liability about, trucks either carry $1 or $5 million liability. So who's responsible? So, but there would, I mean, that's a tremendous need. So after we get through here, whenever you're ready for a motion, I'm ready. But you know, we just need truck drivers, whether it's in Oklahoma, whether it's regionally, whether it's nationally, or
You
whatever.
train
So
on.
that's a tremendous program.
After Estella asks her question, I have 2 more comments, and then.
Yeah, and to your point, we know how important the trucking industry is overall to the US economy. And what we're hearing also on the federal side are those barriers for individuals who are trying to pass that
The
test.
CDL.
Yes.
Is that what we're talking about or something different?
Yes,
No,
that's
yes, 'cause
CDL.
we're dealing with that
And
with bus
typically,
drivers
Class A for us,
as well.
we will do some other things if it's customized. There's been some federal legislation that just changed.
Yeah.
And so folks have to have some amount of training before they can even go and take the written test now. And so we are working we've got that set up. You asked about curriculum. We use J.J. Keller, that's a curriculum that we use. That's not uncommon, but we've already got that. We've used it, and then our folks have worked hard on developing, in line with that curriculum, some CDL prep. We're doing that with some high school students even, to try to get them interested and hopefully get them to a place where they think, hey, I can do this, I can take the test for the written, get my permit, and then hopefully get to us where we can do training for them to get them started out in high school.
And with that written test, is where I kind of wanted to
Yes,
go to, and seeing if at the federal level, if they change that pre-trip inspection that they do, because what we're hearing from trucking industries who are encouraging some of their employees to get the CDL, is that pre-trip inspection, they have to memorize everything under the hood, and that makes it a barrier for them to pass. But the thing is that once they're on the road and once they're working, they don't need to have that memorized because there's already a checklist that they carry around that they shouldn't even have to memorize that.
I can't disagree with anything you said. It's extremely challenging. I'm sure Bishop Gilbert more than aware of the challenges faced with that too. Our guys have done a great job getting people to pass that. The bigger challenge is probably, we do a lot of bus driver training as well. I mean, that's part of everything from the the permit training and the written test training that we do to bus driver training. We end up with over 200 people coming through that part of our campus, all to get those CDLs. They have lessened that right now in Oklahoma for the bus driver. They don't have to do that. How long that lasts, we'll see if they're good bus drivers. So they waive that portion for now, the inspection on the walk around, which I don't need our bus drivers to be mechanics. I need them to be safe drivers and keep kids safe when they go from A to Z. But we've put them in a position of having to be a decent mechanic, and that's not their role. So you're 100% right. That's
So they have waived that.
Only for bus drivers. With the rest of the CDLs, with the Class A, with trucks and other equipment, they still have to be able to walk around. So big portion of what we do in training. There's 3 portions of that now we have to, we put it into the system so it goes to DPS. When someone goes to test, they'll pull it up and they'll see that we've done classroom training, not necessarily a specific number of hours that has to happen, but we put in there, this is how much training we've done in the classroom, this is how much training we've done in the yard, this is how much training we've done on the road, and everything but the classroom is behind the wheel. So we have to put that into the system that the state uses, and when they go to test, they're able to pull that up and see that they have met those requirements now.
One thing I'd like to add is if you look at the schools, we're supplementing the statewide program with regional programs that really are all around the state. So I think this will enhance CareerTech's truck driver training and make it available, because if you live in Hooper, Oklahoma, you don't want to go spend 6 weeks in drum right necessarily. I mean, you might want to, but you have family obligations and kids and maybe another job that, and so we're putting these regional centers around the state. I wanted to make you aware of the physical locations of these programs. And the other thing, I don't want you to feel like we're just shoving this at you, but as I said, it came to the agency really on March 2nd or 3rd, and the deadline for the grant is in here, but it's March 31st. And so we didn't want to miss this opportunity to bring these funds to our tech center. So we are a little bit sorry that it's just her, but that's the reason, just because of when it came to us and the ability for us to be the fiscal agent and when the due date is.
Dr. Dean, that wasn't our intent either, is to
Oh, I
bring this
know.
last minute. We were exploring avenues to fund being able to purchase equipment, and this became one of those. As we had that discussion, well, it was right at the time that we got notified that the portal was going to close for that end of March, so I apologize for that as well, but Dr. Dean's been fantastic in working with us to get through this, and the rest of the staff that the agency has. I can't say enough about Alice Rushmore, now she's worked to help us through this process of grant writing. Thank you.
I guess the question then would be, maybe you answered in the beginning, so this, I mean, we are verified that this does qualify for ARPA funds. We are eligible for ARPA funding for this project.
Yes, and
I believe so, yes.
the way the agency went at this is to do two things mainly. Because of the COVID situation and the need for the supply chain disruption to work through that, we feel like this highly qualifies for ARPA funds, so.
So it's going through here first, so it hasn't been approved yet for those funds.
It qualifies
Yeah,
to
this
apply,
grant
what
is
you
due March 31st. We wanted you, since it's going through the agency as a fiscal agent, we needed you all to see it and decide if you want us to proceed with your vote.
And on this one, there is action required for this to be approved for a grant. So I would move that we proceed with the process for the grant application, whatever's appropriate, because there's certainly a need for truck drivers.
Second.
All
I have one question, I think it's the right time to, the request is to, who are we applying to? ARPA, is it the state funds or the federal direct?
The state.
The state portal that you we use it for?
Yeah, it's who we're applying through, what the state has been allocated.
Okay.
And then Senator Langford's been very good on the CDL deal.
Okay.
For years, he's been.
Did you have another question?
All right. Seeing no more questions, please. Mr. Bobbitt?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
All right, motion carries.
Can I make a
Thank you all so
comment real
much.
quick?
Yes.
So,
Well, I'm not in charge, but yes.
Absolutely.
to me, this is what CareerTech is all about. We cut through bureaucracy, we see an issue and a challenge, react to it, and take action. That is what makes CareerTech unique. And I just want to make that point because I've seen it now, being involved at this level, being involved in the local level, and I'm just love being a piece of this and proud of us for seeing a challenge and reacting to it quickly, because that's the world we live in. We don't live in the world where we we have to react to what is needed, and so I think this is a prime example of that. So
Thank you.
hopefully we get the funding.
Great.
We'll keep you apprised.
Okay.
All right, so thank you. With that, we'll move back to item 2.01, which is an item to discuss and consider action on amendments for permanent rules in Title 7. Hey, Mr. Pannons.
Good morning, Superintendent Hoffmeister and members of the board. Today, we have three public hearings on three different chapters of our administrative rules, and you'll recall last month we walked through a first reading of those proposed rules. I would note for the record that I stepped out at 10:01 and we had sign-up sheets outside to see if there were anyone here today in attendance that desired to speak and give you comments on these proposed rules. And I would note for the record that no one signed up. I would ask, is there anyone here in the room today that has any comment that wants to give to the board? Any comments in opposition, in support, or otherwise as to these 3 chapters? Seeing none, at this time, I would ask the board to consider the possibility. You've had these rules now for well, obviously we went through them at the last meeting, so I would ask that you consider a motion to approve Chapter 10 at this time. You will recall last month we talked about how the goal is to get these approved before April 1 or before the end of March, that there's a filing deadline by statute, that if we get these in before April 1, then they have the opportunity to be reviewed by the legislature and the governor and possibly take effect approximately September 11th. If the board were to want to wait, and it's certainly your opportunity, if you wanted to wait till next month, if the rules are filed with the Secretary of State's office after April 1, then the legislature gets the next full legislative session to consider these. So these would not go into effect until September of 23. So it's the board's pleasure at this time. I would ask for a motion to approve Chapter 10.
So moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
I did want to mention, I have read through these, and Glenn has been kind enough, I've had several conversations with him, so yeah, I appreciate all your effort.
All right, seeing no questions, thank you. Please call the roll.
Mr. Bobek?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, that motion carries. Now, item number 2.02, which involves Chapter 20.
Okay, Chapter 2 amendments have been provided to you earlier as well. The documents you've been provided are exactly the same as what we had last month. And I would note for the board that there have been no comments received with regard to these rules either.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right. We have a motion to approve in a second. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bobek?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, that motion carries. And now, item 2.03, which is the rule in Chapter 35.
Board members, this is the section of Rules Chapter 35 that we're having to do with adult education and family literacy. Once again, there have been no comments received on these rules. You have been provided copies in advance, and at this time I would ask for a motion to approve Chapter 35.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right. Any comments or questions? All right, seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Bobek?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, that motion carries as well. Then we are on 2.05. I would ask, is there a need to go into executive session?
Yes, there is.
All right, is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Please call the roll.
Mr. Bobek?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, with that, we will go into executive session, and at this time, ask those guests with us, please.
Appreciate you for coming. Thank you. We appreciate you coming to visit Cattle Cow. We'd love for, thank you.
Get me behind the wheel, Corey. Does she have an opponent?
Stephanie does, I mean, she'll have a voting.
Not yet, I don't think so. No.
All right, we are coming back out of executive session, so I will ask first if there is a motion to move in, out of executive session into open session.
I make a motion.
Second.
All right, please call the roll.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bobette?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, now we are back in executive session. There were no votes taken, I'm sorry, we are back into regular session. There were no votes taken during our time in executive session. Mr. Glenn Hammonds was the only non-board member that was a part of that executive session. We would entertain a motion? Yes, Mr. Bobak.
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to move for us to approve the Greenwood Asher firm to help us in our executive search. They are on the pre-approved state list.
Second.
All right, we have a proper second. Is there any question or discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Mr. Bobette?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, that motion carries. Is there another motion?
Yes, ma'am. We have a revision for the job description for the state director. I move that we accept this revision as the new job description.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right. Seeing none, please call the roll.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Hillary?
Yes.
Ms. Hernandez?
Yes.
Mr. Gilbert?
Yes.
Mr. Dillingham?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Bobette?
Yes.
Superintendent Hoffmeister?
Yes. All right, that motion carries. Now, we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
What?
Oh, excuse me.
We're gonna open on April 1st for the opening. I believe that's correct.
That will be our goal. I will contact the Greenwood Asher firm today and start with our purchasing people in Stillwater, to the agency people, to be able to do the contract. Have to issue a purchase order and get those kind of things lined out, but since
But
they
the
are
goal
on
is
the
April
approved, since they are on the approved list, that we can get that started, and that would be our goal. I'll clean up the job description, and
Yes,
then
Yes.
as soon as I do that, I'll make that available. It'll be a public document, so I'll be able to release that to staff and to the other people and at the agency too, because I think people will be interested to see what the job description is. I would note for the record that there are not extensive changes at this point in time.
Very good. All right, then.
Move we adjourn.
All right. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that was unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you.
I want to thank you all so much for today. I do have to run